There's a quiet moment most men overlook, a moment where nothing dramatic happens, no grand confession, no obvious signal, yet something shifts. You feel it before you can explain it, a subtle closeness, a softening, and if you miss it, you'll later wonder why something that felt promising slowly faded away. Stay with me, because near the end of this video, I'll name the one inner mistake that causes men to misread these moments entirely. Before we go deeper, if you value calm, honest psychology that helps you understand women without manipulation or games, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but so these conversations keep reaching men who need them. Now let me say something important right from the start. When a woman wants to give herself to a man, she is not thinking in terms of surrender or loss. She is thinking in terms of safety, resonance, and emotional permission. This desire doesn't show up as overt pursuit. It shows up as a change in how she relates to you. The first hidden sign is this. Her emotional guard doesn't drop dramatically. It relaxes. You'll notice fewer tests, fewer defensive jokes, fewer emotional walls. She stops positioning herself against you and starts positioning herself with you. This is not because you impressed her with words, it's because your presence stopped triggering her nervous system. Men are often taught to look for enthusiasm, flirtation, or validation. But psychologically, those can be performances. Relaxation cannot. When a woman feels safe enough to soften, she speaks more slowly. She pauses before responding. She allows silence without filling it. These are unconscious signals of trust. Here's where reverse psychology quietly enters, not as a tactic, but as a dynamic. The more you are grounded and non-needy, the less she feels pressured to protect herself. And when she doesn't feel pressured, she begins offering access on her own terms. This is why chasing kills attraction, even when intentions are good. Pressure activates resistance. Calm activates openness. Another layer of this sign is how she shares. She doesn't overshare dramatically, but she begins revealing emotionally neutral details that actually matter. How she decompresses, what overwhelms her, what makes her feel steady. This is her checking, unconsciously, whether you can hold her inner world without trying to control it. If you respond by fixing, advising, or redirecting the conversation back to yourself, she will quietly pull back, not out of anger, but out of self-protection. But if you listen without rushing, if you stay present without trying to earn points, something powerful happens. Her body and mind register you as a safe place, not a performance stage. Many men misinterpret this phase because it feels understated. There's no dramatic spark, no adrenaline. But that's exactly the point. Deep desire is calm before it is intense. It's regulated before it is emotional. And a woman will only offer herself to a man she doesn't feel the need to manage. This is why confidence is felt, not claimed, and why emotional strength is quieter than most people expect. As we continue, you'll start to see how these signs build on each other, and why missing just one can change the entire trajectory of connection. The second hidden sign is subtle, and many men mistake it for uncertainty. In reality, it's the opposite. She begins to adjust her rhythm to yours, not in a dramatic way, but in timing, availability, and emotional pacing. Psychologically, this matters more than compliments or attraction signals. When a woman starts aligning her internal tempo with a man's, it means she is unconsciously asking a question. Can I move with you without losing myself? You'll notice this when conversations start to flow more naturally. Responses come when they feel right, not rushed. Plans don't feel forced, yet they happen more consistently. She may mirror your communication style, not by copying your words, but by matching your emotional tone. If you're calm, she becomes calmer. If you're steady, she becomes more grounded. This is not submission, it's synchronization. Here's where many men get it wrong. When they sense this alignment, they panic internally. They speed up. They push for clarity, commitment, or reassurance. And the moment they do that, the rhythm breaks. What felt natural suddenly feels managed. Reverse psychology plays a quiet role here because the man who does not rush becomes the gravitational center. He doesn't need to pull. His steadiness does the work for him. When you remain consistent without escalating pressure, her nervous system registers you as predictable in the best possible way. Predictability in healthy dynamics is deeply attractive, not boredom, stability. Another layer of this sign shows up in how she negotiates space. Instead of testing distance by disappearing, she begins to communicate changes. She explains delays. She checks in, not because she owes you anything, but because she now considers your emotional presence in her life. This is a crucial distinction. Obligation feels heavy, consideration feels light, and women only offer consideration when they are internally investing. You might also notice she becomes more receptive to your boundaries. If you say no calmly, without defensiveness, she doesn't challenge it. In fact, her respect often increases. This is because a man who honors his own limits signals emotional self-trust, and self-trust is magnetic. Here's the part most men were never taught. When a woman wants to give herself to a man, she watches how he handles ease, not conflict, not drama, ease. Can you enjoy connection without clinging to it? Can you allow closeness without trying to lock it down? Can you stay present without demanding certainty? If the answer is yes, her body begins to relax even further. And when a woman's body relaxes, her desire deepens. Many men think attraction is built through intensity, but intensity creates volatility. Depth is built through steadiness, and depth is what allows a woman to offer herself fully, emotionally, mentally, and eventually, physically, without fear. This is why pushing for labels too early often backfires. Not because she doesn't feel something, but because she hasn't finished feeling safe inside the feeling yet. When you stay grounded, when you don't try to define what's unfolding, you communicate a powerful message without saying a word. I trust myself. I trust the process. I don't need to force what wants to grow. And that trust becomes something she wants to step into. As we move forward, you'll see how this internal shift begins to show up in the way she prioritizes you, not loudly, but unmistakably. The third hidden sign appears in a place most men don't think to look: her priorities. Not what she says matters to her, but what subtly starts reorganizing itself around you. When a woman wants to give herself to a man, she doesn't announce it. She integrates him. You become part of her mental landscape. Not the center, but a fixed point she orients around. You'll notice this in small, unspoken ways. She remembers details you never emphasized. She brings up conversations you thought were insignificant. She adjusts plans, not dramatically, not sacrificially, but intentionally. This isn't obligation, it's internal placement. Psychologically, this matters because attention follows emotional investment, and emotional investment follows perceived safety and respect. A woman does not rearrange her inner world for a man she feels uncertain around. Here's where many men misread the situation. They assume prioritization means availability on demand. It doesn't. In fact, when a woman is genuinely investing, she often protects the connection by not overexposing it. She keeps it clean, contained, safe from unnecessary friction. This is why you might notice she becomes more selective with her energy. Less reactive, less dramatic. She doesn't want chaos near something that matters. Reverse psychology shows up here in an unexpected way. The man who does not demand priority often becomes it. When you don't compete for her time, when you don't guilt her for having a life, you signal emotional abundance. And abundance removes pressure. Pressure makes women defensive. Freedom makes them choose. Another layer of this sign is how she involves you in her thinking, not decision-making. Thinking. She may say things like, I thought about what you said, or that reminded me of you. This is her mind rehearsing your presence, testing how you fit into her future without consciously committing to it. This stage is fragile, not weak, but sensitive. And this is where men often sabotage themselves by seeking reassurance. They ask indirect questions, they look for confirmation, they push for proof. But a woman who is integrating a man is watching how he handles ambiguity. Can he remain emotionally steady without needing to know everything right now? If you can, her trust deepens. You'll also notice a shift in how she responds to your absence. Not panic, not coldness, but awareness. She notices when you're not there, and she doesn't punish you for it. She allows space without using it as a weapon. This is a sign of emotional maturity and of desire that isn't rooted in fear. When a woman wants to give herself to you, she doesn't try to trap you. She opens a door and watches whether you walk through calmly. And the man who does, without rushing, without hesitation, becomes someone she feels safe offering herself to, fully and freely. Next, we'll explore a sign that shows up not in closeness, but in how she handles moments of tension. This is where most men lose what they never realized they had. The fourth hidden sign appears during moments that feel slightly uncomfortable, misunderstandings, small disagreements, or emotional friction. This is where a woman reveals more about her desire than during harmony. When a woman wants to give herself to a man, she doesn't disappear at the first sign of tension. She stays present. Not perfectly, not passively, but consciously. She may need space, but she doesn't weaponize it. She doesn't punish you with silence meant to provoke anxiety. Instead, her nervous system stays engaged. This is crucial. Emotionally unavailable attraction avoids tension. Emotionally invested attraction works through it. You'll notice that when something feels off, she tries to clarify rather than accuse. Her tone may be cautious, but it's not hostile. She speaks from experience instead of blame. This signals something deep. She believes the connection is worth protecting. Many men misinterpret this moment and respond defensively. They explain too much. They justify. They try to win the misunderstanding. And in doing so, they accidentally signal emotional fragility. What a woman is watching for here is not perfection. She's watching regulation. Can you stay grounded when things aren't smooth? Can you listen without collapsing or counterattacking? Can you hold emotional tension without needing to dominate it or escape it? When the answer is yes, something important happens internally for her. Her body learns that closeness doesn't equal danger, that disagreement doesn't equal abandonment, that emotional exposure doesn't lead to chaos. This is one of the strongest precursors to a woman offering herself fully, because it directly addresses her deepest unconscious fear. That intimacy will cost her safety. Reverse psychology plays a quiet role again, because the man who doesn't rush to fix her emotions becomes the one she trusts with them. You don't need to solve, you need to stay. Another sign within this stage is accountability. If she cares deeply, she will reflect. She might say, "I didn't handle that well," or "I see your point." This isn't submission, it's investment. A woman does not self-correct for a man she plans to keep at a distance. But this only happens if she feels emotionally respected. If you respond with superiority, sarcasm, or emotional withdrawal, she will close. Not dramatically, quietly. You'll also notice that when tension passes, she reconnects naturally. No grudges, no scorekeeping. She doesn't need to regain power because she never felt she lost it. This is the difference between emotional games and emotional depth. Men are often told that being unbothered is attractive. But emotional maturity is not emotional absence. It's emotional stability. And women can feel the difference immediately. When a woman wants to give herself to you, she tests, unconsciously, whether closeness will expand her or shrink her. Tension is the environment where that question gets answered. If she feels seen without being exposed, heard without being corrected, and respected without being controlled, her trust doesn't just increase, it settles. And once trust settles, desire no longer feels risky. In the next part, we'll look at a sign that surprises most men. Because it looks like vulnerability, but it's actually confidence on her part. The fifth hidden sign is one that many men misunderstand completely, because it looks like vulnerability, but psychologically, it's strength. A woman begins to let you see her uncertainty without asking you to fix it. This is not emotional dumping. It's not confusion disguised as closeness. It's selective openness. She might admit she doesn't have everything figured out. She may share doubts about her direction, her past choices, or even her emotional patterns. But notice this carefully. She's not placing responsibility on you. She's not asking for rescue. She's allowing you to witness her inner world as it is. This is a powerful signal. A woman only reveals unpolished parts of herself when she believes the man in front of her won't use them to gain control, leverage, or moral superiority. She is watching to see if you can hold complexity without trying to simplify her. Most men fail here, not because they mean harm, but because they rush into problem solving. They offer solutions, reframes, optimism, and while that may seem supportive, it subtly communicates discomfort with her emotional reality. What she is actually testing is this: can you sit with truth without trying to reshape it? Can you allow her humanity without managing it? Reverse psychology appears again, because the man who doesn't rush to reassure becomes the man she feels safest leaning toward. When you don't panic in the presence of her uncertainty, you signal emotional solidity. And solidity invites surrender, not submission, but trust. Another layer of this sign is how she speaks about boundaries. She becomes clearer, more honest, less afraid of disappointing you. This doesn't mean she pulls away, it means she believes the connection can withstand truth. That belief only forms when she senses that your interest isn't conditional on her being easy, agreeable, or emotionally convenient. You may notice she starts saying things like, "I want to be honest about something," or "This might sound messy, but..." These are not warning signs, they are invitations. But invitations require discernment. If you respond by minimizing her feelings, joking them away, or reframing them as irrational, she will quietly retract. Not because she's weak, but because she's wise. A woman who wants to give herself to a man wants to know that intimacy won't cost her self-respect. This is where many men confuse dominance with safety. Emotional safety doesn't come from control, it comes from containment, the ability to remain steady while another person reveals something real. You'll also notice that after these moments of openness, she doesn't seek reassurance repeatedly. She doesn't cling. Instead, there's a calmness, a subtle closeness, as if something internally aligned. That's because she just ran an unconscious test, and you passed. She allowed you into a deeper layer of herself and discovered that you didn't take advantage of it, didn't collapse under it, and didn't try to own it. That experience builds a kind of desire that is slow, deep, and resilient. And when desire feels safe, it becomes intentional. In the final part, we'll bring everything together, and I'll name the one internal shift men must make to recognize these signs clearly, without fear or self-sabotage. The sixth and final hidden sign is the quietest, yet the most telling. It appears not in words, not in obvious gestures, but in how she prioritizes emotional alignment over convenience. You may notice she begins to seek moments with you that feel meaningful rather than effortless. She chooses timing, environment, and mood carefully, not to manipulate, but because she knows her emotional energy is valuable and she wants it to resonate with yours. When a woman wants to give herself to a man, she doesn't scatter herself everywhere. She offers attention deliberately, selectively, and consistently. This is subtle, but transformative. It's why men often overlook it. They expect loud declarations or dramatic gestures. Instead, she shows through the thoughtfulness of her presence. She will carve space for you without being asked. She will adjust her internal world, not to lose herself, but to harmonize with yours. This is a level of emotional investment few verbal cues can communicate. Another layer of this sign is how she handles decision-making in shared moments. She begins to include you in thought, not because she's seeking approval, but because she's testing mutual resonance. She might ask for your opinion or perspective, not out of obligation, but because she values your presence and wants it to matter. This is a clear indicator that she's integrating you into her inner landscape on a deeper level. Reverse psychology is subtly at play here too. The man who doesn't demand constant attention, who remains grounded, and who respects boundaries becomes the gravitational center of her choices. The less pressure you exert, the more naturally she prioritizes you. Attempting to control, push, or manipulate this stage will backfire because emotional investment cannot be forced. It can only be invited and nurtured. Finally, you'll notice a sense of calm certainty in her behavior. She may not announce it. She may not verbalize the depth of her interest, but her actions, her subtle attentiveness, and the careful way she lets you into her inner world speak volumes. When a woman aligns her emotional energy with yours, respects your boundaries, mirrors your steadiness, and remains present through tension and uncertainty, she is revealing something profound. She is offering herself piece by piece as she feels safe to do so. Here's the most important truth to remember. These 6 signs are never about manipulation, games, or overt seduction. They are about trust, safety, and emotional resonance. And a man who can recognize them, respect them, and respond with steady presence doesn't need to chase. He simply becomes the kind of man a woman willingly and deeply invests herself in. So the question for you is this: are you able to stay grounded, calm, and present in the face of subtle signals? Can you allow her to move toward you without forcing, fixing, or rushing? Drop your answer in the comments below. Your insight might help another man understand what true emotional connection really feels like. Like this video, comment your truth, subscribe for more real psychology, and share this with a man who needs to hear it today. These 6 hidden signs aren't secrets to trick a woman. They're truths to help you see her genuine desire and to help you become the man who earns her trust, respect, and deep connection naturally.